at least at this time. But stay tuned. There's more to this story for sure.
And you did say he was cooperating. So thanks so much for that, Charlie.
Well, a 22-year-old woman who is under arrest is charged with first-degree premeditated murder in the shooting of her own mother.
And the crime happened earlier this month at a home in Southfield. Fox News' Ingrid Kelly has the details tonight.
Southfield police detailing a shocking and deadly case of violence that happened in this house behind me on October 5th. Around 11:40 p.m., police responded to this home on Bainbridge Drive on reports of shots fired. Security camera video shows this woman, 22-year-old Riley Donaldson, out of Ohio, allegedly arriving to the home a short time before those 911 calls were made. The investigation revealed this is the home of Donaldson's mother, 45-year-old Ada Mae Simmons Jones, who Donaldson allegedly fatally shot several times before you see her quickly exiting the home and driving away, leaving her purse behind. Inside the home, an elderly relative and a 3-year-old girl who police say is Donaldson's daughter. However,
all right, I want to start this lesson by giving all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rekah, Quadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles and teachers and wise men of great millstone that I learned this truth from through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua. Salutations out there to the elect. As you saw, in the first part of the video, or as you saw in the video, how a so-called black daughter unalived her, or how you heard that a so-called black daughter unalived her mother, which this all goes back to the curses, and which will be prophesied in this time also. Let's start right here in the book of, start in the book of Micah. It says, "For the son dishonored the father, the daughter riseth up against her mother," which you just saw. The daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law, and the man's enemies are the man of his household, you see? Which goes up to what? The curses. The curses in Deuteronomy. Let's get that. So look here. Goes back to the curses. This is Deuteronomy 28:56. It says, "The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness," it says, "her eyes shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter." You see? So the curses are still prevalent on the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You see, until this day. So that's why things like this happen. You see?
However, Simmons Jones had legal custody of her grandchild. After the alleged shooting, Donaldson went to Ohio for a couple of hours before driving to Detroit, where police say she was taken into custody on October 6.
Detectives set up surveillance and followed the vehicle to a CVS at the 7 Mile location in the area of Greenfield in the city of Detroit. The Chrysler 300 was backed into a parking spot in front of the store. Detectives observed our suspect Donaldson as a front seat passenger in the front seat of the Chrysler 300. Responding officers initiated a traffic stop of the vehicle, and Donaldson was taken into custody without incident.
Donaldson was arraigned and is being held without bond. Police believe child custody may be the root of this tragedy. Back in August of this year, Donaldson took her now deceased mother's vehicle and her child. Both child and vehicle were recovered in Ohio, but Simmons Jones decided not to press charges, asking that her daughter be hospitalized instead. Family members showed up to Tuesday's press conference but declined to comment. And as police continue their investigation, they tell us that the child is now in custody of her grandfather. Reporting in Southfield, Ingrid Kelly, Fox 2 News. Back to you.
Well, now to a disturbing case of a young woman who was pronounced dead, placed in a body bag, only to be found alive hours later at a funeral home.
So nearly 5 years later, the civil trial for the family of Tamisha Beauchamp has been again delayed. Today, Tamisha's mother spoke out for the very first time. Fox's Scott Warchek is live tonight. What did she say?
Hey, Brandon. Yeah, you know what? She talked about how much pain and how long this court case has been going. This has been 5 years. And Tamisha, she was only 20 years old when basically she was having a medical emergency, right? Southfield, they sent some paramedics over to help her out. They performed CPR for quite some time. Eventually, she was pronounced dead, right? Ended up coming here outside of this funeral home, the James H. Cole Funeral Home, where people discovered she was actually alive inside of that body bag. Now, one of the things is Tamisha, she was a young woman who had, she was nonverbal. She had cerebral palsy, right? So she couldn't communicate maybe the same way that you and I do. So very shocking for the people who found it, very shocking and traumatic for her family. This thing has been dragged out. Trial was actually supposed to start in September, but because the city of Southfield has some governmental immunities, they are taking every advantage of that. 3 days before the trial was set to happen, they requested another extension to have the Court of Appeals take a look at this thing. Very, very shocking case. Take a listen to what everybody had to say.
To hear someone say your child is deceased, to later hearing she's not. That's devastating to a family.
Because of laws here in Michigan that give the government, and only the government, chance after chance after chance to avoid accountability, waiting until literally 72 hours before the trial was supposed to begin. It was postponed yet again. The third time at the request of the defendants.
So I just take one day at a time and pray that God just continue to give me the strength that I need to get through this, because I'm not giving up. I'm going to go through the long haul, however long it take. She lived 20 years. If it take 20 more years for this to get heard in court, and God give me the breath, I'm there.
You heard that. That was a mother's love right there. Remember, Tamisha did end up dying just 2 months after the entire incident happened. She spent 56 days in the hospital. I did reach out to Southfield Fire. Of course, they can't comment because this is pending litigation. For now, reporting live on Detroit's West Side, Scott Walchek, Fox 2 News. Brandon, back to you.
Look, Scott, this was...
All right, and I just let that second story play just to give you an example of the negligence of the mother. You see, she's really negligent, but she doesn't want people to know it. She wants to pretend like she loves the child, which she's negligent. Why would the child be pronounced dead, unalived in a body bag just to be found later? You see, that's negligent on the mother's part. So yeah, I just wanted to give you two examples of Eve's eye being evil towards her daughter, the child that she had. Let's get another scripture. Let's get this one in Matthew in the New Testament to show you that, that evil eye is still occurring to this day. Let's see. This is Matthew. Let's see. Well, no, Luke. It's in Luke. Luke 12:53, it says, the father shall be divided against the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother. You see, what you just saw. It says the mother-in-law against the daughter-in-law, the daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law. You see, what you saw in these stories. In this story right here, let's go back to it. Story right here.
They sent some paramedics over to help her out. They performed CPR for quite some time.
It says trial delayed for
Eventually,
a woman.
she was pronounced.
It says trial delayed for a woman that was found alive in a body bag. You see, that's negligent on the mother's part. You see, that's the mother. She didn't really take the necessary care she supposed to make sure her daughter was okay. Otherwise, her daughter wouldn't be found alive in a body bag. You see, that's negligent on the mother's part. Let's hear some more.
Dead, right?
Salakia is gonna play.
Ended up coming here outside of this funeral home, the James H. Cole Funeral Home, where people discovered she was actually alive inside of that body bag. Now, one of the things is, Tamisha, she was a young woman who had, she was nonverbal. She had cerebral palsy, right? So she couldn't communicate maybe the same way that you and I do. So very shocking for the people who found it, very shocking and traumatic for her family. This thing has been dragged out. A trial was actually supposed to start in September, but because the city of Southfield has some governmental immunities, they are taking every advantage of that. 3 days before the trial was set to happen, they requested another extension to have the Court of Appeals take a look at this thing. Very, very shocking case. Take a listen to what everybody had to say.
To hear someone say, your child is deceased, to later hearing she's not. That's devastating to a family.
Because of laws here in Michigan that give the government, and only the government, chance after chance after chance to avoid accountability, waiting until literally 72 hours before the trial was supposed to begin. It was postponed yet again. The third time at the request of the defendants.
Yeah, but I blame the mother. You see, the mother is negligent. If they thought if they thought the child was dead, then they would have called the ambulance and took the necessary steps to find out whether the child was actually unalived or not. Check for a pulse, check for a heart, see if the heart stopped. Why would the child be still alive? At a funeral home. You see, it takes people to find out that the child is still alive at a funeral home. You see, I blame the mother for not taking the necessary steps to determining whether the child was actually unalived or not. So that goes into that evil eye, not caring, as much as you should for your own child to make sure they're, actually unalived or not. To have them to be in a funeral home to be pronounced unalived when they're not actually unalive. So that's negligent on the mother's part. And it goes back to that evil eye. You see, let's get this scripture. Let's get this. All answers can be found in the scriptures. Let's see, the daughter of my people. Let's see. It's like the ostrich. So I'm gonna search it. Let's see. The daughter of my people, bear with me, is like the ostrich. I'm just typing it. It'll come up. KJV. This is Lamentations 4:3. Let's get that. And this is how a lot of the women of our nation is. This is how the women of our nation is now. Let's see, Lamentations 4:3. Lamentations 4 and verse 3. Lamentations 4:3, it says, even the sea monsters draw out the breast. They give suck to their young. You see, even the sea monsters make sure their young ones are okay and check for the welfare of their young ones. It says, the daughter of my people is become cruel like the ostrich in the wilderness, you see. It says, the tongue of the suckling child cleave to the root of his mouth for thirst. The young children ask for bread, and no man breaketh it unto them. See? No one checked to see if the child was actually, unalive before sending the child to the funeral home. So that's negligent on the mother's part and those other people, but mainly the mother. All right, so I'm going to end the lesson here. All praises to Yahweh, by Shem Yahushua, by Shem Rakakwadash. Shalom.